there's only you and me. I don't know what to do. I'm so confused, and I need peace. Take me home. Take me home. Take me Sometimes life weighs me down. I try to press on, but every time I turn around, it seems like I'm up against the wall. My life's upside down. I need to rest away from all life's mess in your secret place. Where there's only you and me. I don't know what to do. I'm so confused, and I need peace. Take me to your secret place. Take me to your secret place. Take me to your secret place.
Great evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday Thing, the marriage edition. So excited to be here with you. And I know I do not look like Inez, okay? I am excited to be sitting in for her and pinch hitting for her. My name is Andrea C. Scott, and I'm here with my amazing husband, Nate Scott. And you guys, we just want to keep Inez in prayer. You guys know that she would never miss an episode of the Thursday Thing. And so just really want to keep her in prayer. She is under the weather, not feeling well. And she's probably viewing us from a hospital room somewhere, but don't be alarmed. Definitely, please keep her in prayer. And but we're going to go on because we have an amazing show. We have an amazing show for you. We have two amazing couples that are with us, and can't wait to talk to you guys about dating and courting. And so this is going to be a very special show. So whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you're engaged, whatever situation you're in, you're going, and here's the deal, whatever it is, you'll get an opportunity to get some good stuff so that you can pass it on. If it's not for you, you can always pass it on to someone else. And so we want to welcome everyone. Nate, do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hey.
Go ahead.
Just a great evening. Glad to have the opportunity to connect with you all in this format here. Love sharing our love with the world. And so we're looking forward to share this time with the marvelous couples that'll be joining us tonight. So looking forward to it.
Awesome. So the first couple we're going to meet are the Campbells, and we want to welcome them. They are from Ohio.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, guys. How are you?
We are well. How are you guys doing?
We're doing awesome. How's the weather up there?
It's not too bad. A little windy, though.
Okay. All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Alicia, and I'm from Chicago. I went to college at Alabama A&M University, go Bulldogs, and that is where I met my wonderful husband, Cardenas.
And I am from Mobile, Alabama, Cardi Campbell. Also went to Alabama A&M, yes, where I met my beautiful wife. I majored in poli-sci, and after graduation, me and the wife decided to stay put and made a family there.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. Can't wait to hear a little bit more about that. Welcome. And now we're going to go all the way to Illinois, and we're going to meet the Ballards. Welcome, Ballards.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Hey, hello.
Hi, everybody.
To introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I am Michael Ballard. I am a pastor. I'm also a relationship expert, and I'm a content creator. I have been the industry, helping people with relationships for over 17 years. So we're excited to be here, to be able to not just share what we have learned over the years, but to be also taught from all the beautiful couples that we have on this panel today.
Yes. My name is Siobhan Ballard. I am the wife of this amazing man. I am a mother of 2 beautiful boys. Just had a newborn baby 6 weeks ago named Cameron. I have a background in healthcare, over 10 years. I am also a domestic violence advocate and survivor and certified relationship coach.
Beautiful. Thank you. Welcome, Pastor and First Lady. All right, we got it covered. Well, listen, we want to introduce ourselves. So my name is Andrea Scott, and by way of live in Jacksonville, Florida, by way of Philadelphia, New York, then Philadelphia, went to college at Temple University. And I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for almost 30 years. Just retired, yay, after 26 years at the top of a global company here based out of Dallas, Texas. And so I'm also a vocalist and a ministry leader at our church. And so I'm really, really excited to share this platform with each and every one of you.
And my name is Nate Scott, author of Life is Rich, How to Create Lasting Wealth. Married to this beautiful woman here, father prior to our marriage with 2 beautiful children, Nadia and Trey. Life is Rich is the mission and the message that drives me and really shapes our family now that Andrea has retired. And it's a message that's simply focused on serving others, teaching people how to live in fullness every day. So already in hearing the different couples already, I see some connecting dots that I'm excited for us to be able to delve into. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, that's it. That's all the introductions. Now let's go into the meat of the matter. I think folks want to know some stuff, okay? And so let's go. I think we're gonna start with the pastor and the first lady, okay? We want to know, what did you learn about yourself after marriage, after being married? And first of all, how long have you guys been married? We want to definitely know that.
Well, our love story started in 2007, where we became friends first. And what's interesting is we were both married to other people when we first met.
Wow.
And so it's funny that, we always tell a joke that, we both came from some very unhealthy relationships. And even in the midst of mine, it was a lot of turmoil. And God had showed me in a dream that I was going to meet her. Gave me her name and everything. And when the divorce happened and everything, we ended up just connecting. And it's just a story too long to even tell today. But so we've been married. We started dating 2015 officially. Valentine's Day was our first date. Official date. I tell her 2014, I took her out, but she said it wasn't really a date because she wasn't dressed up. So 2015, and then we got married June 25th, 2016.
Wow. That's amazing, because our stories almost parallel that, and the dates as well. So that's awesome. Yeah. I'm here to tell you. Okay. So tell us about the Campbells. Tell us about you. What did you learn about yourself after marriage?
Mute.
Oh, you're muted. You guys are muted.
Sorry about that. Thank you. One of the quick things I learned being married is that every grievance does not have to be aired. In a marriage, there are certain things that you certainly have to let go and let alone. And I learned that quickly through Mrs. Campbell here. And the other thing I learned after marriage, I didn't think I would like wearing the ring, but I love wearing the ring. It's like some kind of protection for me. So I love the ring.
I love it. Okay.
What I learned was patience, because I come from an education background, so you kind of have to be very type A, like, oh, it has to be this way, you want a certain result. But I think my husband has taught me to let loose a little bit and just go with the flow. And I'm learning every day. I'm learning every day to do that. And I just appreciate him being patient with me.
Beautiful. We're going to go back to the Ballards real quick, because we want to get your lesson. All right.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing I've learned from marriage. It's been a very an amazing experience. But what I've learned from my own personal story is that there are good people with toxic traits. And I didn't know that about myself. So I learned that through marriage, that in the marriage, I was a good person, but I had these unresolved hurts that was affecting our marriage. And so through God, I'm learning how to become better and healed every day through my marriage.
One very important lesson that I learned being in this healthy marriage and relationship is the importance of self-care and having a self-identity within your marriage. You know, having that union with your partner is one thing, but it's also important to maintain a healthy level of individualism just to keep things fresh into the relationship and have something new to bring and areas to grow in and come back together to, even if it's just to bring something from your own world to make conversations more interesting. But it is very important aspect of self-care to not lose yourself in marriage.
Nice. Love it. Okay. All right. So, Nate Scott, what have you learned? I think I'm scared.
You know, this is also not our first marriage. I was married twice prior to marrying Andrea, and each one of those experiences have definitely allowed me to grow into the man that I am today, and to make this marriage what it is. And what it is the friendship that we have is what makes it a place that it makes it easy to breathe. Andrew and I have a great love story, and I don't even know if any questions are going to bring it out. But I will tell you that the thing that I've learned throughout this marriage has been that I do have the ability to just relax and to live with some laughter. Because I tell you what, this young lady here, she keeps me laughing. She's a trip. Y'all don't even know. Andrew's funny. And so seriously, that's what I've learned about myself, is that that hard side that I do have just belly laughs as a result of being in the right relationship with someone that in turn is just so easygoing. So that's about it. I think that's really the biggest thing that's life changing for me.
I keep them laughing. That means keep you young. Okay. It's medicine. Laughter is medicine. Well, you know, for me, I think what I'm continually learning is teamwork, is how to play team. And he knows what I'm talking about. For me, and I alluded to this when Pastor Ballard was speaking. I was in a marriage for 17 years. I was married for 17 years to a pastor. So I am a former first lady, and as well. And so, and what I realized in that marriage was I was kind of on my. I'm trying to be very sensitive, but I literally, it was a separate relationship. So it was not a partnership. And so I kind of found my own thing to do and showed up on Sunday and, you know, did that. And so I was always doing things by myself. And I found success in my entrepreneurship, in my business, and that my business became my medicine, so to speak. And so I relate to Pastor Ballard talking about the healing and that type of thing. And so when I came into the marriage, and Nate and I met 2015, got married in 2016, July 2nd, 2016, and I literally had to get that whole partnership and that whole team thing, and remember that I'm not on my own anymore, and that we really do work together. So that's really what I'm learning, continuing to learn. So, all right, wonderful. All right, so let's next question would be, what is something that your partner did that confirmed his or her love for you? This is a good one. All right, Campbells. You guys are muted, I think.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Cardenas and I were friends first. You know, we met in college, and we were just living our lives. And then we started dating in February of 2007. Well, in June of 2007, I was diagnosed with cancer, leukemia. And that really showed me that he was the one for me. You know, he was there for me every day. He did things for me that I didn't think any young 21-year-old would ever do. I lost my hair. I looked so different. I had gained weight. And, you know, when you're young, those things, as unimportant as they are now, at that stage in our lives, being 21, just off the college and, you know, enjoying ourselves, that was a big thing for me, changing as a woman in the physical form, you know, but I was also changing spiritually. And he came along that journey with me and just made me feel safe at that time, you know, so that showed me that he was really, truly a keeper.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'll follow up with that. And I want to give a little context to our story. Yes, we met when we were 18 and we were kids and young and having fun in college. But I actually saw a picture of Alicia before I ever met her as a senior in high school. She had a few friends that moved down to Mobile, Alabama, and they were from Chicago. And I was just so curious about, you know, the Midwest and what is pop and, you know, how do you guys dance, and show me some pictures. And I saw this picture of this beautiful girl, of which I now know was at Navy Pier. And it's just a story of connection. And we met, you know, a couple of weeks in at Alabama A&M, and we're friends. And, you know, late nights going to Taco Bell and seeing each other and passing in between classes. It was a beautiful friendship at first. And of course it grew. But to the question, she mentioned the cancer, and we both proved our love to one another during that time. Shortly after she was diagnosed, my grandmother passed away, who was the light and strength for me. And at my weakest moment, and in her weakest moment, she gave me strength that I could not have imagined a 20-something-year-old would give. But in my moment of just helplessness, she was there and also battling the toughest thing of her life. So we both grew love out of that situation, and it's here today.
That's beautiful. Wow.
Great.
Great story. All right, Ballards.
Well, you know, first of all, you can be putting me, Nick, after these great stories where these people, the Campbells, I don't even have anything as beautiful as that. But as far as love, you know, my wife, we had love for each other for a long time because of we worked together. You know, I'm a content creator, so I'm a filmmaker and a writer, and you know, she was one of my actresses, and so we've always had love for her. But I could tell you the moment when I knew that this was the one. I remember preaching Easter Sunday. I was preaching the 7 last words of Christ. And she came and she sat through and we preached. And, you know, while preaching, you know, we made eye contact. You know, she saw that I was there and it was great. But after the service, you know, normally that's when everybody come and shake the preacher's hand. Now, I knew that she had left. But she had her son and her family. She left. But the thing was, she came back. And she came back. She dropped everybody off. She came back just to physically tell me I did a good job. And I was like, wow, what character that this woman had, that she left. It was nice. She left. She was home. But she wanted to just come back personally and say, man, I enjoyed a good job. And I said, oh, that's the one. Because you can't buy that. You can't pay for that. You can't fake that. You can't fake that characteristic of who you are as a person. So I said, yeah, that's the wife right there.
I would agree with him that we've known each other for so many years that before we were in love, we loved each other as friends. It wasn't until after coming out of my divorce and rediscovering who I was as a woman post-abuse and rebuilding my life, reconnecting with friends, including Michael, and just spending quality time with him and getting to know him on a different level, on a more freeing level. That's when the doors really opened up for us to connect on an entirely different level. And I think it was really evident for me early on that I was in love with him. And I struggled with that because there's this idea that you don't date your friends, and there's the risk of possibly ruining the friendship if the relationship goes bad. But I was in prayer, and God had spoke to me and told me, he's like, well, if everything is right, then what's wrong? And I said, okay, God, I've been fighting it. I've resisted it. My heart knew I was in love with him before my mouth was willing to admit it.
Wow.
So everything else caught up, and I just submitted to it. That was our story from there.
That's beautiful. All right, Campbell's, I don't know. Okay. I'm kidding. Well, beautiful stories all around. And I want to share mine first. Can I share mine first? So this is something that I share all the time. I remember, coming out of a 17-year-old marriage that was just very painful to me. But knowing that I was healing, I wanted to change everything about my life and pursue some goals and that type of thing. And when Nate and I met, and again, started out as friends, and he'll probably tell that story real quick. But I remember when we had decided, my father had just passed away, and he was the love of my life, and God transitioned him out of my life and transitioned, so you got to think, I went through a divorce, and then I was losing my dad to cancer. And God at the same time was transitioning this guy into my life to be my best friend. And I remember when, he had come over one day, and we had decided that we were going to get married and that we wanted to spend our lives together. And I had a meltdown. And I was just like, oh, how do you know that I'm the one? I don't want to end up in divorce again. And I was really drama. But I really was. I wasn't afraid, but I was just like, how do you know that you can live with me for the rest of my life, for the rest of your life? And he said to me something that I've never experienced before. He said to me, go get the Bible. And I didn't have to go far. I grabbed my Bible. And he said, turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Now, everybody knows 1 Corinthians 13. It's the love chapter. And he said, Andrea, vet me against the word of God of what God says love is. And so I went line by line. Love is patient. He said, have you experienced me to be patient with you? I was like, yeah. Love is kind. Love does not envy. It does not keep record of wrong, and all of those things, and all the long suffering. And I went through every bit of what God said love is, and just kept checking and checking and checking. And that's when I knew that he took me to the word and lined himself up against the word of God, against what pure love is. And I thought, man, this guy's a keeper. And so that's something that I really love, appreciate.
Our story, July 2015, as I was leaving LA Fitness, I passed her pink Cadillac. Didn't see her physically, saw the vehicle, recognized it as a status symbol. So I pulled on the side of the road. And as she drove by, I pulled over, got out of my vehicle with a copy of my book, handed it to her through the window and said, here, read this. If you get any value from it, you can pay for it later. I went right, she went left. She contacted me on July 26th while she was out of town in Dallas. She shared with me that she had read the book, that she shared with 30 of her directors. They all wanted it. From there, she asked me to do a live conference call with 200 of her ladies. I said, bring the husbands on. After that, she asked me to do a live training event. And then she paid $4,500 to work with me for 90 days as her coach. We did the business stuff, developed a friendship, and we married less than a year, meeting at the stop sign. The confirmation for me was based upon the fact that we were able to have that mutually respectful relationship. And that didn't change as we developed into a relationship. And now as we are, in 4 years of marriage, I will tell you that on a day in, day out basis, every day is a confirmation about our love for one another because of the foundation being respect. And so I'll tell you that the joy for me is being able to look at that story, recant it like it was yesterday, and understand that it was ordained. It was absolutely, with absolute certainty, that God brought us together because he's truly faithful. And the faithfulness is in him delivering to me someone that is uniquely designed for me. And so that's the confirmation.
All right. Thank you, baby. Okay. Well, excellent. All right. So we're going to move on to the next question. And then we're probably going to take some questions from the audience soon. So what would you do differently in courtship, knowing what you know now? Knowing what you know now, what would you do differently? Nate, you want to start? I don't think you courted me. I still have an issue with that.
I courted you.
We never dated. Seriously.
Let me tell you guys, she always bring this up. Here's the deal. Listen, we had this thing called, she defined it as Nate nights, Thursday night. And I think she was being slick. And I would come over and she'd make nachos, we'd have some wine, and we'd sit and watch Scandal. And fellas, you guys know what I mean. I think she had an agenda. I think she was really, really trying to hook me. That's what she figured she was gonna.
I had never had a guy friend in my life, like a guy friend. I was first lady. Everybody I knew was a bishop, an elder, whatever. And so he was the guy friend that I could literally talk to about men. Like I never had that experience. So it was refreshing. Plus he was an entrepreneur and somebody who was very cerebral and that type of thing. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut into your conversation into your thing. No, okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. Okay. How about Campbell's? How about you guys? What would you do differently in courtship? If it sounds like you guys had the perfect situation.
Yeah, we didn't really, to be honest, we didn't have a courtship like that. We were just friends, and I started to notice, well, let me rewind. Okay, so I left A&M and I came back home to Chicago, and I went to Chicago State for a year. And I was just having some family issues and I needed to go home. Well, I noticed that I started to miss him, the day that I left him, and I know he's gonna get mad when I tell this story, but he was supposed to help me pack my dorm room and get some boxes. So he got upset, like, Leash, and he's the only person that calls me Leash. So he says, Leash, I don't want to get all these boxes here. So he put them in the back of his car.
I was 18 years old.
He put them in the back of his car. Put the boxes in the back of his car, drove me to the door, didn't even help me get the boxes out. So I got the boxes, go to my room, and he goes off. I guess he was thinking, will I see again? And to be honest, I wasn't thinking about him like this is going to be the last time I see him or anything. So I was like, he get on my nerves. So I got the boxes and went on and started packing. So this is after he had redid my whole dorm room. Okay, so I'm saying all this, but he used to just do nice things for me. And I was just like, oh, that's Cardi, So at that point, it just really wasn't a courtship. Once I realized that I started to miss him, like, oh man, I don't see Cardi today. I don't have nobody to go anywhere with. It's so cold here. And, everything was just going through my mind, just thinking like I don't see him every day like I used to. And I called him, and I just started talking to him. And it just ended up becoming more basically really over the phone.
That's right. I remember where I was when I received the call after a little while, and I got extremely excited that Leash called me back. Our situation, it's not courtship, but for the audience out there, I would only say that, make the time to make a connection, a deep connection. Young, middle-aged, old, it doesn't matter. You can confuse love with just a passing interest. And people get kind of bogged down in what they think is something special when it's really not. And you can only find that out when you connect deeper, when you can have a further understanding of, how do you want to raise children? That's deep.
Yeah, that's deep.
And not necessarily, well, we both like Italian food. That's cute, but it's not going to last. So for the audience, make that deep connection during courtship. It's vital.
And I will also say this too, going into a courtship, kind of know what your values are and know, is this person courting you in a love language that you understand? Is this something that you're willing to work on? Because to be honest, Cardenas is the not perfect one, but I'm the one that has a lot of issues. I had a lot of growing up to do. I had a lot of figuring out who I was as a woman, as a survivor of cancer, a lot of other medical ailments, and through each stage and transition, he had to deal with a different woman. or a different girl growing into a young lady, growing into a woman. So every stage he's had to deal. Now he changes, okay, but he's for the most part very simple. And, he keeps it simple and he likes what he likes. And if he grows to like something different, then he may mention it here and there. But me, I'm all over the place. If I'm changing, I'm into something new, I'm reading a new book, I'm like, oh, we should do this, we should try this. And he just goes along with me. So I appreciate that about him. And if you want somebody that cheers you on and somebody who understands you're changing, because in any relationship, you can change and you can evolve.
That's beautiful. Alicia, you mentioned something. You mentioned the love languages, the 5 love languages, and that's really huge. I mean, that's a good nugget to know when you're going through courtship. And one of the things that I would say is a common thread between all 3 couples is that friendship piece. That is so important. So many people are, and I can speak for myself, even when I was single for my first marriage, and all of my girlfriends were like watching their clock, like, oh, I gotta get married, my biological clock, and that type of thing. And that's just not one of the reasons to get married. So that whole friendship piece is real important. Ballards, let's hear from you guys. What would you, your situation, your relationship is so unique and so different. So what would you do differently if you could?
I wouldn't really say I would do too many things different, but I will admit that with my husband being a pastor, I had never been in a relationship or even been on a date with anyone in ministry. So once my emotions really started to get involved, I became intimidated and adapted this idea that I had to fit this mold of what a first lady could potentially be. So I did have a season where I kind of felt like I was changing things about myself, not based on what he was saying or not saying, but just what I felt inside, like, well, maybe I should act this way or do this to be more appealing to him because this is what a first lady does. But, once we actually had a conversation about it at one point, he was like, baby, you don't have to change anything about you. I'm with you for you. And just having that reassurance just really alleviated a lot of pressure, unnecessary pressure that I put on myself. So that's one thing I would have changed. I wouldn't have put that pressure on myself to feel like I would have to change to put in more effort to make him like me more when I wasn't being true to myself.
Beautiful. Okay.
So I'll give you two quick answers. One, the politically correct one. The real answer is I wouldn't change anything because technically all the hurts, all the pains, everything was necessary to get us to where we are today. I learned a lot from those mistakes. I say, we either win or we learn. So I learned a lot from the mistakes, but as a pastor, not just a pastor, but a counselor. So those, because I'm also a counselor. And I think for those that share that mantle, I have to learn when not to be a pastor and when to be a boyfriend and a husband. Which is difficult for me to turn it off. So I found myself, we shared a lot of hurts and pains, and I felt myself a lot of times not really being able to fully rest and being her man because I was so busy being her pastor and her counselor and trying to shut that off. And I got to a place where I tried to fix her so much with and that became a problem in our marriage where I lost what it felt like to be a husband. I should have turned that off and I'm not your pastor, I'm your man. And so I would have turned more of that off and been more in a relationship from that standpoint.
That's powerful.
What's really, I'm so delighted that, man, there's so much that we are bringing to the table that if we were to do little vignettes, we could really, really hit some things. But on what Pastor just now spoke of, I will tell you that whole idea of turning off, as well as the idea of how do you reconcile your past relationships. I do some relationship coaching, if you will, and it's really from a practitioner standpoint because I learned very early on at 19 during a teenage experience as I walked perimeter during Desert Storm. And I said, Lord, if you allow me to make it back, I'll never waste a day of my life. That experience gave me the release to be authentic and true. And with that authentic and trueness, it's about embracing all of life. When I think about what it looks like to be a man of faith, a woman of faith, and to truly hold on to God's word, and I reflect on things that he's taken me through, I always lean back onto Jeremiah 29:11. And I never count anything as mistakes or anything with any regrets, because his word is faithful. And the truth of the matter is that if we can truly pay attention to those things we've been through, at least for myself, it's always allowed me to see the connection to that next step. And like I said, I can look at every aspect of the life and the things I've gone through relationship wise and see how it has prepared me for my marriage to my soulmate. And the turning on and turning off piece. In our house, I'll speak to Andrea and I'll share with her and I'll say, if I'm speaking to you about something, I am okay with whether or not how you receive it, because I know that I've removed myself from the message. And so I challenge everyone that's listening, if you are someone that's a person of faith, that use that Bible as your foundational point so that you can both go back and measure whatever it is that you're going through against God's word, so that you don't find yourself pulling back from having the hard conversations. I've spent my entire, and I'll continue to do what I do with pushing my wife, because I see that she's the asset. And I, in turn, will, even today, I will get at her about standing up and never shrinking back. And that's when the coaching piece really comes out, because I'm relentless with it. I'm like, hey, this is all love. I love you enough and I'm secure enough in our love to talk strong to you. And then I'll go about my business and let her soak about it. And then I'll come back downstairs and see if she's okay. And if she ain't, then she'll get over it. We had that moment tonight.
Mm-hmm. Right before the marriage. So. But honestly though, because he was my coach, I hired him to coach me in my career field. And so I respect him. I respect his word. I respect what he speaks into me. And I know his motive in his heart, and kind of like the First Lady Ballard, I can relate to that, in my previous situation. So I really needed to learn, how to be my authentic self and be okay with being me. You know what I mean? Because people have the expectations and all of that, whether you're a pastor's wife, or whether you a military spouse, or what, it doesn't matter. People have expectations of you, period, as a woman. Your parents were, their marriage, you should do this for your husband and you should do this for your wife and all that. But every marriage is unique. And so if I, really, what would I do differently with him? I don't think I would do anything differently, because we had that foundation built, and that truly it was from God. I will say one thing: I did make a list, a Boaz list. Oh man, I was on this serious. I went through my divorce, my first time going on vacation. I was heading to Maui for a vacation. I was on a plane, it was like 6-hour ride. And I was like, right now, I was like, okay, Lord, this is what I know I'm willing to give. This is what I know I deserve. I know that you're going to do exceedingly and abundantly above this list, but can you just have all this stuff in there and then hit me with some more? Okay. And just do the exceedingly and abundantly above these 25 things, right? I mean, I had every little stupid little thing in there that I wanted. And he literally stepped out of my list. I was checking off the list. I was like, seriously, God, it was just amazing. And so it was God ordained.
Give the story.
I'm not telling that. We have other questions,
give them
babe.
The one thing. You don't leave the whole thing out.
The one thing that he didn't meet, that you talking about that?
You can give him that too.
Okay, the one thing that he wasn't was 6 feet tall. Okay, he's like 5'10", but it's okay. But anyway,
the singing part is the part.
Oh, okay, so one thing on my list, along with killing bugs and all that kind of stuff, was I wanted him to sing the high part of Purple Rain. Don't ask me why that was on the list. Right? And I'm gonna tell you, hand of God, we were on a call one day, and he's in the car driving. I'm talking to him, and all of a sudden, he turns up the radio and he starts singing the high part of Purple Rain. So this is me. Are you serious, God? What? And hand of God, that is true story. But anyway, so that was it. All right, next question. Next question. Oh my gosh, what is something that you do during marriage that you never thought that you do? Ballards, what is something that you now do that you didn't thought that you would do?
For me, I would say the world of entrepreneurship was a new thing for me. It was something I never considered for myself. I was, again, working in the healthcare field. I had my mindset of what I wanted to do. But my husband, he's been an entrepreneur for many, many years. And he brought me into this world where it also helped me to develop as a woman and learn things about myself that I could pull out of myself as far as writing books and starting businesses and really tapping into the greatest parts of myself that I didn't even know existed, but he believed in me to exist. And I never thought that I would be doing some of the things that I've done over the past 4 or 5 years without being in this marriage. So that was definitely my number one.
Nice.
Cause you better go ahead, girl. One thing that I'm doing during this marriage that I never thought I would do is share my leadership role. As an alpha, as a businessman, I'm go getter. She called me Mr. Make It Happen, and I had to learn that marriage, being a head, doesn't mean always heading everything. I had to learn how to share that role with her. How to I used to steal her voice. God told me, you steal her voice. Her voice is quiet. It's not that it's not there, it's quiet and you're too loud. So you have to learn how to shrink yourself so that you can hear her. And so that was a difficult part for me because I come from a place of people don't, I'm a businessman and most people just don't get things done. And in order for us to move the mantle, I got to do it. And I picked that up and I had to learn how to let that go some. So that's one of the things I did.
Nice. Okay. All right, Campbell's.
One thing, well, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I didn't think that I would be married. I wasn't a little girl that dreamed about a wedding or a husband. I don't know why. I never really had those feelings. But when I met my husband and I saw the type of strong family values, and I came from strong family values too, I'm going to say that, but it's polar opposite when it comes to our families. So I saw his family married for generations. I knew that was something that may have crossed his mind, every now and again, but I just couldn't see myself not being married to him. So the thought of, I didn't think I would get married, I guess, until I met him, until I really got to know him and got to be around him. He was just so, it wasn't even, he's a handsome guy, don't get me wrong, but he's so intelligent in the way in which he would speak to me when I would be having one of my temper tantrums or saying, oh, I want to do this. And he would just like, babe, he's my calmness. And that's something that I didn't ever think that I would have or ever think that I would be able to do. And that's just being a wife. He encourages me and I'm just proud to be his wife.
That's beautiful.
Just two quick things. Some may say I'm kind of conservative and don't share a lot. In marriage, I have learned to just express myself and say how I feel. Men may kind of hold back, and that's a natural thing for us, but with your wife, you can be open. And the other thing after marriage that I really never gave thought to is just growing old together. Me and her in a screened-in porch, sipping tea, looking out, thinking of our lives. Like I never had those thoughts until I was married, but now I think about it all the time. Just us being together, us being old, us just, you know, basking in the life that we've, you know, grown together for. And that's something it never crossed my mind until I was married. So it's a special thing.
I love that. That is a great picture. Awesome. Okay.
Something that I do during marriage. It's not that I do consistently, but the thing I was surprised about in marriage is me going and get a job. I hadn't had a job, a 9 to 5 in
You gonna really tell us?
2007. So, and we had made some plans that
Babe,
were not executed on. And in turn, I didn't re-engage with it. Instead, I let go and let God. And in turn, walked away from having a conversation anymore about it and went and got a job at nighttime.
he left the house.
I worked a night shift job. I'm big into personal growth and development. Been in that space since 1996. And so I said that, and I guess it wasn't me, it was the Holy Spirit. It was saying, do something with this time. And so I would go and work through the night with my headsets on. And I did that for a season, maybe 4 months or something, maybe 6 months. And one day she said to me that she was finally ready to do that, which we had agreed upon doing. And that was the release. Once again, do I thank God for that? Because
I don't.
I do.
Sorry.
Because I had to have the ability to do it, the wiring, the character, if you will, to not engage in trying to force the hand. And the lesson in that for me was patience and trusting his word, and to recognize that though we were married, she's a grown person and she's his daughter. And that's what I spoke to earlier about being able to recognize that it's not our job to manhandle or make things happen. We're supposed to say we're supposed to lead, but we're not. Leadership is an honor, and it's something that one has to followers have to in turn give permission to be led. And so that's a life moment, and one of those life moments that I hold on to that I think is going to be a bedrock of our marriage, and provides tremendous value, especially because of the timing of it, of that. So what about you?
So we're coming to the end of the show, but we may have some questions from the audience. But the thing that, and this is just straight up honest, the thing that I do now that I thought that I would never do is cook every day. Cook, like I know how to cook, but I never enjoyed it. It was too many steps. All right, and I think also, in all seriousness, it was always for me. I always found myself by myself, other than with other, friends that were in business and in my former career. But having someone who enjoys, who I can cook for, and who's here to spend time with me, and we get a chance to fellowship, and it just brings me joy. I watched my mom do that for my dad, and it was something that I always thought, that I would do for my husband. And so now I get a chance to do that, and it just brings me a lot of joy to be able to, because he loves food. But anyway, so just cooking every day. I know that sounds real base, like, really, lady, you don't cook, okay?
And Babe cooks, and she cooks amazing, and literally she does it, and I can see the joy that she does it. But I want you guys to know that
he does not require it. He always wants. That's the disclaimer. He does not require it. It brings me joy to do so, to serve you. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, do we have any questions from the audience, or any last words that you guys want to share? Any closing Okay. Oh, we have another one. Okay. What's the biggest advice? This is how we're going to close. What's the biggest advice that you would give to people looking to get married? All right. Let's start with the pastor. Come on, counselor.
Well, I will tell you guys this. Marriage is for adults. It is more than she cute, he cute, we're going to have some pretty babies. It is more than the love that Hollywood and romantic novels and things tell you that it is. Marriage is real. It's real business. It's a development. It's a sacrifice. It is self-sacrificing. It is. So don't step into it lightly. Learn who you are before you get married. You need to marry yourself. You need to really have a relationship with God before you consider bringing another person, because marriage is dangerous in the wrong hands. You can mess up generations if you don't understand what you're doing. So it is a big boy game. And I tell my men, don't just get into it, man, until you're really ready for it. So really study it and understand it before you pick up a woman. I tell men, leave these women alone if you ain't ready. Stop messing up these women's lives and having these children and destroying generations because you don't have a clue. It has nothing to do with your emotions and your feelings. So
I'll definitely piggyback on that. The biggest advice I would give to people looking to get married, have more of a reason besides love to get married. Love is a beautiful thing. It's a nice foundation, but it's a fleeting emotion. There's going to be days you don't love your spouse. You're going to need more. You're going to need friendship and respect and likeness and, purpose. There's so much, there's more things that you need to sustain a marriage than just having love.
Beautiful. Powerful. That's powerful. All right. Campbell's.
I absolutely agree with everything Pastor said. And I like to add as well, marriage is wonderful, but it's a lot of hard work. And marriage is also, in some respect, not all, it is about love and working together, but it is also a business. Before you go before your pastor, you want to get paperwork done. You're really tying yourself to this person. So you do need to know who you are and be honest with that person about your finances, your beliefs, things that you don't, if you do have to separate, God forbid, no one wants to. Nobody goes into a marriage thinking those things. But if you do, you have assets and you have liability, you have children, you have a lot of things that get involved that require lots of paperwork and lots of money in some cases. So you need to make sure that this is the type of person that even on their worst day, you can love them. Even if you're at a time in your life where you feel poorly about yourself, they can help you begin to love yourself. You need that type of working and engineering in order to make a marriage work. It's love. It's a lot of paperwork. You understand what I'm saying?
I agree with my wife, of course. And just to add a little bit more, all things start from within. If you don't have the right balance within yourself, if your vibration is not where it needs to be, like Pastor says, leave those women alone. Do your work on yourself first before you go and tie yourself to someone else. Because with the proper vibration, the proper balance, you can accept the things that are going to come from a different energy.
Yeah.
And then you guys can connect. There's no way you can be connected and equally yoked if you yourself are unbalanced. So balance yourself before you go and try to balance with someone else.
Yes. And I want to add too, don't worry about your fertility clock women. Don't worry, men, about what your family saying, oh, you're so old without somebody. Be with yourself. Figure out if you like you. If you look in the mirror and you don't like you, don't expect somebody else to. You need to love yourself. So that way, when you come to the table, you have something to put on it. You don't want to come in so many pieces that you're looking for someone else to make you whole. Make yourself whole. Allow God to lead you in that direction. Don't just go blindly.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. And I'm going to share in closing and then we'll introduce some other things as we close. But I would say, and it's kind of what Cardenas, is it Cardenas?
Yeah.
Am I right? Okay. What you mentioned is that you attract who you are. You know what I mean? And a lot of times we think, oh, I want a doctor and I want a lawyer or whatever, and we're not working on ourselves. And I'm speaking about, women and men individually, but so become the best version of yourself. Do that personal growth and development. Know your goals, what it is that you want to do. See yourself beyond where you are right now, because see, if you see yourself only where you are and marry somebody where you are, and then 5 years from now you discover that you're better than who you are now, you got to be able to see yourself in the future with your goals and the person that you want to be. Visualize that and work on becoming that. And that's what you'll attract. And again, like First Lady Ballard said, you don't oh Lord, my thought is leaving my head, but the bottom line is that, love is amazing. The feelings of romance and all of those things, but love does not keep a marriage together. It's commitment, it's friendship, and it's God. It is God, and that understanding, it's a partnership, and that friendship piece is so important, baby.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that, one, don't go out seeking marriage. Attract. You see, you attract who you are, not what you want. You attract who you are, not what you want. And the next thing I'll tell you is that when you get into that marriage, don't play small and don't settle. That means have the courage to allow the person that you're married to see your authentic self. You can't play in that background and then play the blame game. Well, I did this because you wanted to, or this. No, as an infantry officer, I would always tell my soldiers that you fail me by not giving me your thoughts. So when I ask you for feedback, I need to know your feedback, not what you think I want to hear, but yours, so that in turn I can make the best decision with the information that's provided. Within a marriage, God brought us together, a husband and wife, for the purposes of being full. And so that means we've got to have each one of us bring our very best to the table. Otherwise, we're at a disadvantage, and the world has enough things out already coming at us for us to be playing shorthanded. And then the last thing I'll say is, husband and wife, it's you. Don't let the noise, don't let the opinions, don't let those quote unquote friends be in your business and start acting crazy. And if they do, you got to check for them. You got to make sure that everyone understands that they might be close, but they're not that close. You got to let folk know that they don't have, that's right. That circle is real tight and real small.
That circle is a circle of three, him, me, and God. That's the circle.
Well, can I add one more thing?
Sure, absolutely.
I also want to say this, and I have to say what he's saying. We also, when you get married, you want to communicate. Figure out a way to communicate. I have a master's in marriage and family counseling, and Cardi probably gets upset with me having do all these activities. And I say, pull me back, but I want to be able to communicate from love. And I think that's so important, because even if you have to table something, table it and come back with cooler heads, because you love that person. I always remember, we're in this together. I'm not against you. I'm your partner. And sometimes when our partners say something we may not want to hear, or they may say it in a way that we felt, oh, that wasn't loving. I know I can be dramatic. So at that moment, take a deep breath and just table the issue and figure out a way to communicate, whether that's writing a letter, doing an email, or saying, okay, we're not going to bring up past issues. We're just going to focus on what the issue is right now. And I'm going to say, talk for 1 minute, and you're going to listen, and make sure that you're listening to understand and not listening to reply. So communication is very, very important.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. I love it. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, that's it. It's a wrap, right? Right, Pastor? It's a wrap. This has been amazing. Thank you guys. You all have brought some great content, some great experiences. Thank you for your transparency, your openness to discuss whatever needs to discuss, and it's done for the betterment of the audience. And I hope that everyone learned something. I know I did. And thank you for your contribution. I'm supposed to say what's coming up next. And so thank you, Natasha, for running the screens and all of the things for us and doing the technology. And so November, the Miracle Area virtual events, you guys, the guest events, all right, the Makeup Mondays, all right, you guys see the dates that are there. That's the Makeup Mondays. And then Saturday, November 7th, it is a beautiful something or other that I cannot see down there, okay? And don't forget, Thanksgiving, November 26th. You want to watch Inez. She's going to sing. She's going to be sharing her gift of song. And so that's at 8 p.m. Central and 9 p.m. Eastern on November 26th. And so, and then, yes, a beautiful business. Going to have some great panelists and some giveaways. Giveaways are always great. Inez hosting along with Dee Hawkins. For those of you guys who know, you're supposed to be here Saturday, December 5th, 11 Central and 12 Eastern time. So those are the upcoming events. And oh, there you go. Want to reach a broader audience. All right. Let's see here. Okay, there you have it. All right. So you guys see all of these great events that Inez does, excuse me, and that she works on. Please just be sure to take a look at the screen, do screenshots, take your camera out, and take some pictures so that you have it there. But you can always go on her Facebook page. And while we're talking about her and all the events that she does, that's so great and beneficial, please keep her in prayer. And keep all of these beautiful couples, keep them all in prayer. And so thank you so very much, everyone. It was so wonderful to meet you all and to be panelists with you guys.
For having us.
Thank you.
Great job.
Take care.
I don't know what to do. I'm so confused.